Hi, I'm back. This is my, as you could tell by the title, no reason to be coy, is my top 5 tarot decks of 2019. These are the tarot decks that I spent the most, that I really, really loved in 2019. And not just really, really loved, but they're tarot decks that I used a lot in 2019. And again, in no particular order, I'm going to present them, and I have one honorable mention. So, the first deck that is my favorite of 20 is one of my 5 favorites of 2019, and I used a lot. But I also obtained this one in 2019. And none of my decks were released in 2019. And maybe 2 of them I obtained in 2019, and this is one that I obtained in 2019, and it's I'm sure you've seen this a lot. It's the Tarot of the Magical Forest. And I think I even showed this in a recent video. I can't remember what the subject was of a recent video, but I showed this deck before. So I'm not going to be flipping through the entire tarot deck, but just, let's have a little look. Again, the backs, I love them. Edged in green, trimmed all the white borders with the titles off. Love, love, love this deck. Since I received this one, since I purchased it. I want to say I purchased it in the summer. I've been using it instead of my Mons Tarot by Joanna Nelson, which I still love, but I don't know. This is my latest coup de foudre when it comes to an animated deck. I don't think of this as just, I've mentioned before that it's the inner landscape. It's the inner landscape. It's the landscape of my inner child. But look, apropos, as always. And I just love it. I think it's a very versatile tarot deck. It's also very approachable, right? When you're reading for someone who, a lot of these, tarot images, someone who may find the tarot images scary, may find them a little less so in this deck, but I don't know. I'm not quite sure. I think this is not, I wouldn't say, it's not a gentle deck, but my experience with it is that its voice is a voice of someone who knows me and who says, like, come on, really, love it. And of course, I love it because I'm featuring it in one of my top 5 favorites of 2019. Oh, incidentally, my top 5 favorites of 2019 are all mass-produced and easily available. And that's just how I roll. Although you'll see in a previous video I've obtained some independently produced and out-of-print decks over this past year that were on my wish list. For the most part, my decks are mass-produced. Alright, the next one. From the moment I received it, it was part of my birthday loot. From the moment I opened it, I trimmed it the same day. I fucked it up and accidentally trimmed a title off the 5 of Cups and ended up having to trim it completely. You've heard the story before. I even crocheted a bag for it on the same day that I did the modification, edged it, and there's this stressed brown kind of thing. And it's my Druid craft, completely naked. And I love it. I've said it before. Again, if you've been watching me for a minute, I've mentioned this deck and I've shown it to you. I love it for psychic readings, psychic mediumship type reading, psychic medium readings. You know what I mean. Spirit communication. This deck is a very earthy deck. this deck. The first spirit I communicated with this deck was completely spontaneous, and it was my mom. This deck has my mom's vibe to it. My mom was a Virgo, and yeah, love it. Love it, love it, love it. Of course I do. That's why I'm talking about it. I'm featuring it today. The next tarot deck is one I've had for quite a while. And so it's not new by any, but it made the top 5 of my favorite decks of 2019 because I began using it in January, and I think I only, for daily draws and for whenever I needed any kind of, like, practical reading or any kind of reading at all, really. I pulled it out in January, and only put it away in May. I want to say the end of May. So that was this is the deck that was out practically half the year as my daily draw and go-to tarot deck. And it's the Osho Zen. This is, I think this is a first edition. You can see the backs are not as reddish as they are currently. I edged mine in black, which caused a little bleeding here on the back of the cards. Whatever, it happens. That was one of the first decks I modified. I love this deck. It's tarot, yet not, you know what I mean? Like, it's a very psychological deck. Yeah, and just the fact that whenever I pull it out, it does end up staying out for months at a time. So, and I keep it in this bag that I got at Dollarama, which is a Canadian dollar store. The next one I have 2 copies of. Those of you who've been watching me know which one this is. This is a beautiful bag my daughter made for me, and it's got nice flannel. It's like pajamas for my deck. Tarot of the She. Not that, I could have shown you the other one too, but for me they're 2 different energies. I have one deck that I completely trimmed down to be completely borderless, and it's the energy is very expansive of that deck, and it has a different feel than this one. Just in terms of how it communicates, the energy is the same. It's the way it communicates. The one without borders is like blah, right? And this one with a little bit of, the communication shows a little bit of restraint. I love this tarot deck. This is one of my top. I read for myself with this one. I have done readings for others with this deck. It's an experience. This deck is an experience. I loved it before I understood it. It also, the energy of the She, I work a lot with, earth spirit energy, and the energy of the She really is in this deck. And voice is very clear. It's although the cards look intensely colored and very detailed, it's an all-rounder for me. It gives all kinds of readings, from mundane to spiritual, magical. It's all there. It's beautiful. Of course, it's in my top 5. And the last in my top 5, which inspired me to make this beautiful bag for it. I don't know who made this. This must have been channeled, because this is a little it impressed me when I made it. Is, of course, by the color scheme, my Raven's Prophecy Tarot. To me, this is a very magical deck. It's, I disliked it when I got it because I didn't know what I was getting. I got it, you know, the box was sealed, and I didn't have a chance to even look it up online. It sat on my shelf for a year before I finally gave it a chance. It kept going from my shelf because it was a gift. It kept going with a gift card, right? It kept going from my shelf to my purgatory box to the giveaway box, purgatory box to the giveaway box, and then every time I was ready to take the stuff away that I was donating, it would come out of the giveaway box, go back in the purgatory box. I would look at the purgatory box, and it would end up back on my shelf. It did this for an entire year before I finally pulled it out and said, okay, let me work with this. And I put the guidebook away because the guidebook I found very limiting, because the guidebook, although, very informative, is geared mainly towards creativity, right? So, of course, my readings were about, you really should start writing. Well, okay. But I found it limiting, so once I put the guidebook away, I found out that this deck loves to talk about magic and spell casting and that kind of stuff. So, yeah. Look at this. I love this. Anyway. So that's my 5th favorite deck, tarot deck of 2019. And my honorable mention, because it's going to be offended if I don't mention it, because it's my workhorse. It's my most used deck, is my Rider-Waite Commemorative Centennial. It's my favorite Rider-Waite of all time. I love it so much that I'm ready to let go of a 1990s plaid back, which has really nice buttery cardstock. I'm ready to let that one go because I have not touched it since I got this one. So, yeah. Love it. I love the coloration of this deck. I love the clear readings it gives. It's very reliable. I love the way it feels, the cardstock, the heft. Love it. And that, my friends, is my video on my favorite tarot decks of 2019. I will, oh, look at that. Under 14, just over 13 minutes. All right. So, yeah, you'll be seeing me in the next one because I don't know which one I'm doing, but I have a list of videos I need to get done today. Thank you and have a beautiful day.